deep underwater. Avi, quick, look here, said Tina excitedly. She was examining their diving gear. These are perfect for a marine biologist. Tina and Avi are siblings, and they are very inquisitive. Tina wants to grow up to be a marine biologist. They are the people who study about animals and plants that are found in oceans and seas. Why do you always want to be someone with such difficult names? Asked Avi. I want to be an undersea diver. He circled on the spot and mimicked swooping into water. Marine biologists are also undersea divers, you dummy, said Tina, laughing. Tina and Avi love the sea and everything to do with it. The city they live in has no sea. There is only a river which passes through the city and travels to other parts of the country. It was once very beautiful, but people did not care for it and continued dumping garbage and chemicals in the river. Now it is extremely polluted. Except tiny grey fish, reeds, and lotus flowers, there is not much of aquatic life in the river. That is why Tina and Avi were thoroughly excited when their parents took them to see a beautiful reef during their holidays. Tell me again, what exactly is a reef? Asked Avi, while they were being helped into their swimming and diving gear. A reef is basically a rock or a feature underwater, replied Tina, recalling the words she had read in her encyclopedia. Then there are coral reefs, which are skeletons of corals that take many years to form. Once different plants grow, and animal life flourishes around them, they look spectacular. I can't wait, said Avi. Make way for the super divers. Tina giggled. She couldn't wait either. They were about to discover the fascinating reef. They cross-checked their gear and followed the instructor. They waved to their parents and boarded the dive boat, which took them to the diving site. Finally, they dived into the glistening sea water. The reef buzzed with underwater life. There were lots of fish. Wow! Avi opened his mouth to speak, but a series of bubbles came out from his headgear. He pointed at a big group of small fish and a small group of big fish. They are called school. Silly, a group of fish is called school, thought Tina, shaking her head. She knew Avi well, and was sure about what he had wanted to say. The fish moved at great speed, circling in a tight group. Tina wondered if the fish ever bumped into each other. Further on, the instructor showed the delighted children a group of seahorses, starfish, sea urchins, friendly dolphins, and even a pair of octopus. They also saw jellyfish that looked like tiny ladies hopping in frilly white dresses. The day's underwater expedition was over. Tina and Avi returned to the beach, where they found some turtles and crabs. They collected beautiful shells, too. Later, Avi returned 3 shells to the water, as those still had shellfish that had been washed out by the sea. While he was waving goodbye to the shellfish, Avi slipped and accidentally gulped in some seawater. Yuck, he coughed and made a face. It is so salty. Seawater is naturally salty, explained Mother as she handed him a bottle of fresh water to drink. We get all our salt from the sea. River water is fresh, and that is what we drink. Next day, the super divers dived into the water again. Tina focused on the colorful plants and dancing seaweeds. Avi pointed to a little cave in between big rocks. It was dark and very narrow. He wondered who lived in such a dwelling. He turned to Tina and imitated being a mermaid, even though he knew that mermaids don't exist. He looked ridiculously funny. Snake, cried Tina suddenly, bubbles coming out from her headgear. She looked terrified and tried to swim away. As the creature whizzed past them, Avi frantically gestured with his arms, trying to tell her that it was an eel, not a snake. Tina was relieved, but angry. "Let's stick to the group," she motioned. Their instructor took the group a little further, where they saw an old shipwreck, lots of litter, and also a huge submarine. Those had not been taken out of the water and had been restored as art pieces for tourists to admire. The submarine was so big that 40 crew members could easily sleep in it. "I wish we get to travel in a submarine one day," thought Tina. Back into the boat, the children watched a short film about a beautiful ship called Titanic. It was met with tragedy when it collided with an iceberg. "Icebergs are fascinating," said the instructor. "They are mostly found in the sea near the Arctic. They appear to be small ice rocks on the surface, but if you dive into the water and see, they are really huge floating mountains." "Mountains? In the sea?" asked Avi, amazed. "Yes," answered the instructor. "There are mountains even in the sea. In fact, there are active volcanoes too." Tina and Avi were awestruck. As they sailed back to the shore, they wondered what underwater mountains and volcanoes would look like.